well. So let's take this to Bobbie. Bobbie Schindler, who has become an advocate for people who need guardians and need their right to life validated, specifically those who perhaps have traumatic brain injury or are deemed to be in a quote-unquote vegetative state. Bobbie, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Well, thank you.
What is your take on the Sarah Harvey situation? Fill us in on any other background information you might have and your experience with these kind of actions that are taken quite frequently across the country as legal guardians take over the care of individuals against the wishes of their loved ones.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, I mean, we much of Sarah's situation doesn't make a whole lot of sense to us. We got involved with it's what our organization does now. Subsequent to Terry's death, we're trying to help other families, and we've been involved. They've been trying to help Sarah for probably more than a year now. And much of what the county is doing as Gary's guardian just does not make a whole lot of sense to us. Why the court would allow the county to act as his guardian when, in fact, as you mentioned, they tried to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah's only intention, my understanding, is to bring Gary home and care for him. But yet she's been treated horribly through this situation. Now she's not even allowed to see her husband. And I don't know how the county could be acting in his best interests, which is what they claim to be saying, when in fact they tried to kill him on one occasion, when Sarah, her husband, Sarah, the wife of Gary, just wants to bring him home and care for him.
Right. It's interesting because when I was speaking with Tim Lehrman, who I'm going to have in the next segment as well, who's a paralegal who's just been helping Sarah, he said it's a total conflict of interest to have any county proclaim themselves as a legal guardian of a patient in this case, because there's a huge conflict of interest because you're talking about a lot of money. They're in cahoots with St. Joseph's Hospital as well. Do you think that oftentimes it's kind of a paradox, because on the one hand they had indicated they were ready to kill him, but on the other hand we are aware that they're getting five-figure sums every month for the care of Gary. Do you think sometimes money is the culprit in these kinds of cases?
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, it seems to me that money is always the issue when you have something that just doesn't make sense, as in Sarah's case. And I'm not that well versed to understand all the what's going on as far as the finances of the situation. But it's just as complex as this case might be, it seems rather simple to me. Sarah wants to bring her husband home and care for him, but yet the county is acting in this manner, which just doesn't make any sense to me. And also, how St. Joseph's Hospital, being a Catholic hospital, allowed or at least was going to permit Gary's feeding tube to be removed. And remember, this is a man with a traumatic brain injury. He's not dying, and he's only being sustained by basic care, food and water. And how a Catholic hospital was going to just allow his feeding tube to be removed, again, just doesn't make sense to me, because that's against Catholic principles and policies, I believe, of the hospital, and it's also against Catholic teaching.
Right, and they've taken a lot of flack for that from advocates, both Catholic and non-Catholic as well. It's interesting that things came to a head this past week after Tim Lehrman gave multiple documentation of the lack of care and lack of procedure legally as to what they were doing. In fact, I saw the letter that they sent Sarah indicating to her that she was not allowed to see him anymore. It's not. Is a court order required for something like that? Because this was not a court order. This was just printed up on someone's on the law office of Chemung County, but it was not a court order. Is the court order, from your understanding, generally what's required to remove someone like that?
Well, it didn't happen in our situation with Terry. We were barred on different occasions, and all Michael had to do, Michael Schadler, Terry's husband, who was the guardian, all he had to do was basically say, their visitation rights are now denied, and we were denied. We went at one point, I believe it was almost 6 months without seeing my sister, and we had to go back to the court and ask the court permission to start visiting my sister again. The guardian of a person has a tremendous amount of power, Amy, and in this case, in the case of Terry with Michael, in the case, it seems to me, with the county and Gary, they can use this power as a weapon against, well, in this case, Sarah, in the case with my family, against our family. So a guardian has tremendous power, and again, it just doesn't make sense. Much of what's going on in this case, it doesn't make sense to me, and why they wouldn't just allow Sarah to care for her husband after they tried to kill him, it's perplexing.
And it's interesting that